Good day, everybody. It is Startup and Innovators on the Atlantic Discuss channel. Yes, your guest is as good as mine. Another guest, another specialist, another professional. He, well, not a startup in the real sense. He's been there, done that. But he's an innovator, very highly creative. He's also an IT person. He's in the cybersecurity world. Yes, I've been having a lot of people within that theater, but then that is the future, almost impossible these days to see anybody in the cybersecurity firmament without a background in AI and what have you. We're still going to talk a little bit about AI. So today my guest is Mayowa Owoeye. Mayowa, welcome to Startup and Innovators on the Atlanta Discuss channel.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ade.
Nice to have you. I like your smile.
Thanks.
So, well, Mawa, I've been saying he's a cybersecurity specialist, but he's a cybersecurity architect, with extensive experience in delivering enterprise security solution across cloud, hybrid, and large-scale distributed environment. He also supports environment where security and compliance directly impact your business, But in my tradition, of course, I'm going to allow him do a lot of talking about himself before we go to the question. And he's managed so many, cloud and containers, DevSecOps and automation, security operation and IR, PowerShell, Python, KQL, Graph. I mean, endpoint identity security. Oh, wow, Linux and network security part for the job. So, well, before we go into our first question, just in your own words, so how did you get to be in this sphere of work, cybersecurity, Linux, all that? How did you decide to toe that line from your secondary school? What tilted you? Over to you, Mayowa.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
I mean, when you were mentioning all those things, I was kind of
Is
wondering
that
that
is that you?
in me you're talking about. I
Um,
just, I just do what I can, to be honest. Yeah, yeah. That aside, I've actually spent a good number of years in the IT industry. Spent a lot of years building and securing technology. I've worked in the banking, fintech, startups, like you said, cloud, retail. Both in Nigeria and the diaspora. I actually started my career with a very small IT company. It was an HR application development company, and we had a couple of customers, back in Nigeria and all of that. And, I was responsible for infrastructure and security. That was what I started my career with, you know, moved across the lines, various companies. And basically, I spent I spent a bit of time with Standard Chartered Bank, where I learned the importance of resilience, governance, and basically operational excellence, and yeah, all of the time I was always fascinated about building things, not just maintaining them, and I rose to the rank of head of IT, with a couple of companies. No, I did that in two companies before I landed in Alezo, which is a startup, as the head of IT and cybersecurity. I mean, it was a very good, exciting period of my career because we were helping to digitize Nigeria's informal retail sector. You know, I mean, we had I think about 150,000 retailers.
Oh, wow.
90% of them were women owned. I mean, just basically trying to scale payments and logistics in Nigeria, which is Africa's largest informal market. So my role wasn't just keeping the system running. I mean, it was basically helping the company to scale securely. We get led initiatives around the ISO 27001 readiness, PCI DSS, Microsoft 365 identity management, development, DevSec operations, cloud security. I mean, the whole works, and yeah, and today I still do that, but on a larger scale and in a bigger market,
Oh,
you know.
wow. Good
Yeah,
for Okay, so let me ask you this. This is also on your journey. Yeah. So the way I wrote it, you built a career spanning banking giant like Standard Chartered. Of course, InterSwitch helps with all that. So you've been a
yeah,
Standard Chartered InterSwitch. And then move into startup world with Alezo and Vides, like you rightly said. So what
yeah.
drew you from established corporates into Nigerian startup ecosystem? And what's the biggest difference in how technology decisions get made in each of those worlds?
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. That's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did support highly structured banking environment when I was in Standard Chartered Bank. I mean, infrastructure operations, basically backup, disaster recovery. You know, I also worked at InterSwitch. Where I worked around payment infrastructure.
Mm.
And that's of course, that's tied to availability, security, and transaction integrity to be specific.
Mhm.
You know, so this environment actually taught me, I think that was where I learned discipline. I also learned governance, resilience, and yeah. So I mean that built a very strong foundation, and all of that, before I moved on to other organizations, and before I moved on to Alezo,
I like that.
and technology wasn't just simply supporting the business. Technology was the business,
Mm.
and I mean, compared to a startup versus a corporate organization, in a large corporate organization, technology, there are changes. I mean, there's a process called change management. It's on in IT. There's something we call ITIL.
Mm.
It basically describes how change management happens. What I mean in essence is that you can't go. I mean, look at I mean, you're using a computer for this.
Mhm.
So you can't just shut down your computer like that.
Mhm.
In a controlled environment, there has to be a process. I mean, you have to go through a process of getting an approval to get your computer shut down, or you want to install a new application on your computer. I mean, so that happens in a corporate environment.
Mm.
But in a startup, decisions are faster because the company is actually searching for the most scalable solution at that point.
I,
You
I
get,
I agree with you on that. Yeah.
you get.
Mm. Yeah.
The question is not has it been done before.
Mm.
Can we safely test it? Can we move up with it? I mean, corporates really, I mean, they have established systems already. They try to optimize it. Startups actually build systems while the business is moving, and it's crazy. And yeah, I remember when I was in Alezo, of course, I was, like I said, I was responsible for about 150,000 informal retailers, and I think we used to do about at least about 400,000 transactions monthly at that point,
Wow.
and so of course, that meant my job wasn't to install security tools and make sure everything is secure. I had to build an environment where employees tie with the applications, our cloud systems, our payment operations. Of course, we had a lot of partners also. The aim was to make sure we can grow without losing control.
Mm.
I mean, and yeah, that was that was it in a nutshell.
Interesting. So let's look at security as a startup and the survival issues that comes with it. I'm sure you have a lot to say in that too. So
Hmm.
Nigerian startups are scaling very fast. There's no doubt about
Yep,
it. Yeah,
yep,
handling millions of transactions and sensitive customer data every day. So often on lean budgets. Emphasis on lean budgets.
yep.
You know,
You're right.
from your seat as a director of IT and cybersecurity, how vulnerable is our startup ecosystem right now in Nigeria, and what should founders be doing on day one of on day one, which most of them are ignoring right now?
Hmm. Let me see. I think I think um I think one of the major mistakes that founders make, that this is from my experience, is that they say we'll focus on security when we become bigger.
Oh,
And
okay.
unfortunately, by the time the company becomes bigger, uh, everybody has, insecure habits and is already entrenched,
Mm.
in the people.
Day to
Again,
day, yeah.
a day-to-day transaction. I mean, yeah, security shouldn't really involve buying maybe an expensive security platform or something, but I mean, it should be embedded in the system, from the start.
Mm.
You get, and that's always, I mean, things like I mean, to go a little bit technical, things like a shared administrator's account, weak access controls. You put access controls in place, but I mean, not everybody's following it. As I explained, your laptop to or your managed laptop. I mean, I'm trying to be as simple as possible, but of course, in the start where I sit, I'll be talking more of servers, and cloud infrastructure, and all of that. I mean, all of those have to be, tightened up. So in a nutshell, I think I'll say I'll break it down. I mean, first of all, I think you should know your assets. In the startup ecosystem, know your assets, know what you have, in place and all of that. Um, Identity and access management is the next level. You need to have that in control. Who is who, or what is this person doing? How is this person accessing this? Is this control? And all of that. Put that in place. Put a structure in place for your identity and access management. Then maybe the next level will be to ensure you do your vulnerability assessment and penetration testing to make sure all your vulnerabilities are patched. You get make sure because as it is, especially with the advent of AI, I mean, yeah, malicious actors are working at an astronomical speed, to carry out malicious activities within our environment. So, I mean, patching vulnerabilities is very important and all of that. And hey, and finally, prepare for incidents. When I was in Standard Chartered Bank, I was responsible for disaster recovery. So basically, what that means is that we had our backups in place and ensure that those backups are taken at regular intervals, and we always made sure we tested those backups. So what happens is that every 3 months, it was quarterly exercise. We'll go to an offsite location and mimic a disaster, and connect to the actual server. So we had a replica of the actual servers and infrastructure, at a different location, mimic the servers, and we have to keep a record of that activity. So I mean, I think that's what I would say.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So let's look at AI and the general Nigerian workforce today.
Okay.
So yeah, you've written that AI will create as many jobs as it will destroy. I like that.
You saw that also.
Yeah. So most people I come across say, oh, AI but the way they put it, AI is going to make people lose their jobs, but if you are scaling, you probably don't have a problem. So, but you put it a very different way, that
Yeah.
AI will create as many jobs as it will destroy.
Yep.
And
Yep.
engineering yourself is the key thing there,
Yep.
scaling
Yep.
of some sort. So
Yep.
with AI now moving faster than ever, do you still
Mhm.
stand by what you just said? And what practical advice do you have for young Nigerians who fear being left behind in
Okay.
ensuing AI melee?
Okay. I'm glad. I'm glad and surprised that you saw that. I know I put out an
No,
article
you
on
know
that.
what? This interviewing people, meeting people, we have a political program. This was fun. So I tend to read a lot. Then
Okay. Nice.
like maybe in politics now, I want to interview some guy who's written 6 books. So I
Mm.
structured him for 2 weeks time. So the chance of read 2 or 3 of those books is high. Do you understand? Yeah. So when I have a guest, doesn't matter who the person is, I probably have to
Mm.
research about you, what you've said, and whatnot. So do you have to
Nice.
for that there?
Nice. Okay, so to answer your question, to be honest, I still stand by it. I
Okay.
mean, I think the article was about 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And to throw in some statistics, I think I was reading the document from WEC, that's the World Economic Forum. Sorry, WEF. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, I know.
yeah, and there was I think they said in 2030 the global labor market will increase by 170 million jobs,
Mm.
and 92 million jobs will be replaced.
Oh, wow. So
Yes.
by 2030, we're going to have
So basically
170
we'll have
million
170 million, according to the
and
World
lose
Economic Forum,
92 million
we'll have 170 million new jobs.
new jobs.
Then we'll lose 92 million
Of the old
old
one.
jobs.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So basically, AI will help us increase by 78 million new jobs. That's according to the to WEF. I mean, so look at these numbers based on their research. And I think they went on to say that a large percentage of those job skills are expected to change.
Oh, wow.
You get? So, I mean, so the real issue is not simply will AI take my job. The better question will probably be which parts of my job can AI perform and how can I move forward with those parts? What can I move forward to? Require judgment, be more creative, take more leadership responsibilities and accountability. And I'll give you an example on one of my current roles, which I did an automation. I mean, basically, there was a manual process. I don't want to go into the technicalities; it's very, very, very technical. But I'll try to summarize it as best as possible. I mean, there was a manual process that we had, and I'm also responsible for architecture where I am currently, and basically the support team has to look into one application, pick out, identify some things, and all of that, and I identified the solution, and I said, this process can be automated, It involved a lot of technologies. Some of the technologies you mentioned, initially, I think you mentioned PowerShell, Azure automation, APIs, Graph API, KQL, all those things. Yeah, so those were basically the tools that I used. There were a lot of tools. I think there were like 7 different tools. There was PowerShell, there was Python, there was API management, there was Microsoft platform, there was our service desk platform. I mean, all of these platforms, I brought them together, and did an automation where instead of going manually to look at those things, the process identifies it, brings it into a service desk platform, automatically creates a ticket, notifies the relevant users, and they're able to execute. Now, this process involved a lot of writing of code. And on a normal day, I mean, back in my career, if I'm supposed to achieve something like this, I'll probably have to sit with the development guy and tell them that this is what I want to do. I'll sit with the Python specialist. I'll sit with the C# specialist. The person that can write JavaScript. Another person is a front end guy. He can write JavaScript. Another person, database guy, because on this thing I use the Postgres database. So I have to have a database specialist. But hey, with AI, I was able to bring all of these tools together, and create that automation by myself, just as the architect. So previously, I'll be the one to architect it and say, okay, this is what you would do, and all of that. But I'm able to think it through, bring everybody together. This is what I want to achieve and execute. I mean, so look at that. That automation did not eliminate the need for engineers. It just changed their work from manually collecting information to, to automating this process. I mean, I'm improving, in this case, security, making decisions and all of that. So my advice, to be honest, I mean, I think this AI thing, and I think I will need to do a separate discussion on this AI thing, because it's a interesting topic for me. And I've actually broken down into 3 layers, because I get asked this question because of that post I made. I get asked this question, quite often. And the first thing I will say is that, number 1, layer your core profession. Whatever you do, finance, software development, cybersecurity, healthcare, law, whatever it is, that doesn't go. You need to understand the basics of your core profession first. Then the second layer is where you bring AI. First of all, learn how to do research with AI. Learn how to do data analysis on your profession, whether it's finance, whether it's healthcare, whether it's law. Learn how to write properly, learn how to automate, learn how to do proper documentation, problem solving, and all of that with AI. Then finally, don't just stop at doing certificates, because a lot of entry-level people these days, they just want to get certifications and all of that. Build evidence. You get, don't go on I don't go on LinkedIn and say, oh, I just got certified in Microsoft Cloud this thing, or AWS Cloud this thing. Go on LinkedIn and say, I built a cloud platform that solves this, and this. You get, and put it there. You get, I mean, so finally, I will still stand by it. AI will not replace you directly. But you know what? Someone who understands AI and knows how to use AI effectively will outcompete you. So you need to re-engineer yourself, and it's no longer an option.
I like your choice of word. Instead of saying scaling or I said re-engineer,
Yep.
it's more applicable actually. And I think that's true. So let's look at building trust in the African tech. You know, there's a lot of
Mm,
startups, old ones in the African tech industry. So
mm.
Alezo works to digitize the informal retail. You worked there before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Connecting
Mm.
thousands of small shop owners to technology
Yeah.
many were using for the first time, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
So
You're
what
right.
did that teach you about building tech products for the everyday African user? And
Hmm.
what mistake do startups make when designing for this kind of markets?
Hmm.
You're surprised at my questions.
Yes, because they're kind of deep.
Yeah, I mean, with the kind of, there's really no point having someone like you here with your with the requisite
I got you. I
background.
got you.
Because I'm learning, so I'm scaling, I'm scaling in so many ways. So ask, I'm sure if you watch some of my part, I take notes, I've already taken,
Yeah, yeah, I saw
I,
some of
I
that.
refer to those things later in my own personal research.
Uh,
Mm,
so, so Alezo actually told me,
mm,
Alezo actually taught me
mm,
building, you
mm,
get, and basically building for the everyday African user. I mean, it's more than just copying an American or an European application that works perfectly, or one AWS platform and all of that.
mhm,
You really have to understand the user's actual environment.
mm,
We were targeted to the informal retail sector.
mhm.
That in English, that's market women. That's
Machiavelli.
it.
I know.
Market women. We were in, especially in the southwest. I
Mhm,
mean, we were in all of the southwest, all of the markets.
mm.
We were there, and that's why we had about 400,000 retail points. You
Wow.
get
That's POS,
so
right?
yeah, POS,
Yeah.
POS, yeah. So, I mean, we're talking about issues like unstable connectivity, internet, bad internet,
Wow.
storage. They have devices,
Mm.
their phones,
Yeah.
that they use, for
Volume.
OTP.
Yeah.
All
Just
that.
volume.
They
Yeah.
have limited storage. Some of them share their devices. The same device that they're using, for personal stuff is what they use for the office stuff. A lot of them are used to cash.
Mm,
So this bringing in digitization, so there's that concern of trust
mm,
you get. And um, I mean, so we had to be innovative in our solutions, make sure that these people can use I mean this we used to connect this woman to
mm,
the bigger brands, and those ones were had a better structure, and that was where Alezo came, to be that middleman, because we're working with the likes of Unilever, Nestle, Procter and Gamble, and all of that.
PNG.
So I mean, um, yeah, so like I said, that mistake is always there. I love African startups designed for the founder. You
Mm,
get they design for the investor. That's what they're thinking. The investor says, "Oh, I want this to be able to do this." And they now build feature-heavy applications. Using much data and everything. And yeah, maybe registration steps is like
mm,
complicated. A user story goes from like 0 to 30, taking about 15 minutes just to fill a form because you just want to gather inform. I mean, at the end of the day, I'll say one thing. You need to observe first, know your market,
mm,
yet know what they really want, know what the problem is. The second thing is simplify.
mm.
Simplify, that's the solution. Just look at bottlenecks, things that you think, all these things, make it as easy as possible.
But the
And
layman
after,
can,
I'm telling you,
can operate it.
I'm
No,
telling
not so
you,
much
you know,
technicalities. Yeah.
you get, and
Mm,
after that, digitize.
mm,
That's when you now bring in the American or the right American or European platform.
mm.
I can't forget also in Alezo at the time we were trying to bring in a service. I think was it a service, a call center application, to handle our calls, because that was part of what I did. I actually built a call center for Alezo, and we got this application, and I mean, it was just a mess. The application, I don't want to mention the name of the application, but it's a very good application. I think it was a British, application to manage calls. Different features. You know, that was the first time I was hearing something called gamification. Everything seemed so snazzy and sassy and everything. When they first built, then I mean, they used the China approach for us. They said, "We are just taking. You don't need to pay. Just use it for the first 6 months." By the time the bill came, the first 6 months, we saw it. We were like, huh? There's no way. Like, how? Well, how? And it wasn't even solving the problem. No, no, no. We had to. I've forgotten the term they call it in finance, where you spent a lot, then you look forward to the next level and see where your destination is, and you decide whether you are going to go to that destination or you go back and just revert back and count your losses. That was what we did. Before we later got the right customer support application. For the call center. I was able to manage the business properly.
Interesting. So let's look at the road ahead. And like I always say, time is never our friend. So this is the last question. The road ahead now.
Okay.
If you're advising Nigerian policymakers and investors on one thing, just one thing only, whether it's infrastructure, digital security regulation, or let's say talent development. Now, what single intervention will most accelerate our innovation ecosystem in Nigeria in the next, say, 5 years or 10?
Okay. Let me see. Well, I think I also mentioned something I've discussed previously with some of my bonds in the industry,
Okay.
and those because those that sit in the policy making section. I would say building a national digital trust and talent program is very important. I mean, you just have a pool of talent. There are a few people doing it. I have one of my friends doing it, I know, but I mean, not in the scale that I want him to do. Basically, a combination of practical technology training with the minimum cybersecurity standards for startups. At the minimum, the basic cybersecurity practices, what startups should do, how startups should handle their code, how startups should scale, I mean, just, that framework, and of course, we can't forget our internet. I still have a problem with Nigeria's internet. It's appalling. I was I think I was using my home internet in Nigeria. I was using 100 MB, and I look back that how was I using one? And 100 MB was massive. Like
that's how, yeah, for that environment, yeah.
you get it. No, that was just in my home, And in the US, I don't even think you have home internet at 100 MB. I think the minimum is like 500 MB.
Yeah.
In the US, yeah. Standard at the minimum, you should have 1 gig. Because applications are processed. And I was telling somebody something. Your Instagram video, when you watch a video on Instagram, try and download that video. There's some tools you have that you can use to download the video. Download it. Some of those videos enter up to 500 MB.
Yeah.
For one video. I mean, so our applications
and that's your total package for. I mean, if you're doing 100 MB, I mean
100 MB. How long do you want to
download some
watch that video? You get. So I think the government for a market like Nigeria, I think we already have about 130 million connected citizens. I mean, ICT alone.
Largest concentration of Black people.
It is.
1 out of 4 sub-Saharan African is a Nigerian.
See?
Oh, yeah.
You see? ICT contributes 17% to the GDP currently.
So what do you think they should do to improve on the internet? Should they do more of fiber optic cables, or where should the investment be tilted towards? What should be done, in your own opinion?
Well, I think funding to start with is very important. So when I say funding, these startups we're talking about, encourage more startups that can do beautiful things
Kind
with
of thing,
internet,
like
broadband
main one
connectivity.
cable, all those
You
things.
get that kind of thing, encourage,
Hmm.
put some fund in place that, okay, if you have ideas on startups on,
Because clearly, if government does it, it's probably just going to be another white elephant project. It won't,
you get it.
yeah,
You get
that's
it.
private sector
I
doing.
mean, I know NIDA has something. I think they have a target of 70% digital literacy by 2027.
Okay.
You get. I think there's now another level of to 2030, and all of that. But still, we need those investments in internet. It's too important. Too
No.
important. Some of my friends that work remotely in the US,
Hmm.
they're not able to go to Nigeria and work.
Hmm.
Like some of them, they want to travel back to Nigeria and not take paid time off,
Hmm.
and but they complain that it's not possible. They can't work in Nigeria.
Oh,
Why? Because of poor internet.
wow.
Like, yeah, Zoom is over.
Even recording complain like this. I'm interviewing someone, they said,
Uh,
people.
so I mean, I think, and even this thing should start at the university level,
Hmm.
universities, technical colleges, NYC. I mean, that's where those programs should connect to.
Hmm.
I mean, the training should demonstrate skills
Hmm.
around. I mean, the new technology that is coming up, AI, cloud computing, security on those infrastructure, and all of that. I
Hmm.
mean, and like I said with the project, because it's not, I tell people when I carry out interviews, I tell people I'm not concerned about your certification. Yeah, your certifications are good. It shows that you're diligent. It shows that you can focus. You can, put your mind to something that you
How do
can
you
do it.
apply it?
Yeah, yeah. How do you apply? It's very simple.
Application.
So every participant in whatever this digital national digital trust and talent program I'm talking about, every participant should complete a real project.
Hmm.
I want to see a project. If it's AI related, if it's cloud computing, if
That's
it's
what the
cyber.
Indians are doing actually. They are more
Mm,
into vocational education, hands-on
yep,
kind of stuff. Yes,
yep,
they do
yep.
certification, but they want to say, what can you do with it?
Mm,
That's why they are
mm.
more technologically advanced
That
than
knows it's
they're
crazy.
everywhere now. Canada, America.
Everywhere,
Uh,
everywhere.
oh,
I
wow.
mean, so that investment is too important from from where I sit. You get truly investors they don't only invest in ideas. I mean, it's the way the ability your ability to execute.
Hmm.
You have a good idea, but your ability to execute is very important. And I mean, having that pipeline in Nigeria of strong talent, is very very, very important. You get, and I mean, in one sentence, I'll say that Nigeria must develop talent and digital trust together. I
Hmm.
mean, both of that must align. I mean, innovation can't scale
Hmm.
if you don't have the right skills. If
Hmm.
skills are scarce, if people are not confident, I mean, we can't move forward in Nigeria.
Wow, fantastic. I wish time was our friend, but never. Thank you so much. To our listeners, you heard, I mean, you have to re-engineer yourself. I mean, innovation is expensive, the government has to invest. And a lot of these things are private sector driven, actually,
Yep.
so there's a lot to be done. I don't think the
I
problem
don't.
with countries like Nigeria is manpower. I think
Mhm.
it's funding, and the conducive environment. Funding it should be part of that, but the environment should. Maiwa, thank you so much. I should bring you back in a month's time when we'll
Yeah,
have a power.
no problem.
I know even between now and then there will have been a lot of revelation in the IT world because everything keeps changing. The other
I'm telling you.
the top Stable 5 on Cloud. Now it's
Ah,
yeah, I'm sure one reason why they brought it back is that something else is coming, and all these anthropic people, you can't trust them. There's something,
like.
you know. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Avias. We'll see you next week with another very wonderful guest. Bye.